All right, everybody, welcome over. How do I say this? I'm doing this off the cuff. uh, I want to walk through gradient maps. I want to show some basic gradient map stuff, how this is set up. Now, what you're looking at here is just all the coloring is being done by gradient maps. I haven't painted in extra lighting, rim lights, and details yet. Um, I did this while I was on a phone call meeting, so I didn't have a chance to stream it. So instead of streaming me figuring this out, I did all the figuring out, and now I'm going to explain how this stuff works. So let me go to the gradient maps folder here. I'm just going to turn that off. Boom, it's black and white. Oh, that's amazing, right? On, off, on, off. The reason why this is beneficial, especially for things like, digitally painted characters, is because, if I wanted this to be a completely different background color, I wanted to change his clothes, all the values are worked out in the black and white painting, right? Just paint it right over the line art. And then we use the selection flats to create selections and build gradient maps on top. Now I'm going to show how this works. Let's go over to, this is my desaturation layer, so everything below it is black and white. We put the gradient maps on top of the desaturation layer. You can make it flat, I don't give, however you want to do it. So let's turn all this stuff off. First things first, the background. So you're probably asking me, Rob, how do I figure out the color? You just randomly start throwing stuff down? And the answer is no, I don't randomly start throwing things down. What I do, let me grab Webby. What I do before I start is I make a low res JPEG, little little thumbnail. That's what I call a roughie. And work out a basic color scheme that I'm interested in. And then while I'm painting, then I go and draw the line arts and scan them in, and then I desaturate the roughie to get a basic idea of how I want the lighting to work. Once I get that set up, we come back here so you can see the thumbnail to final. A little bit more of a drawing in the face, a little bit more of a painting here, but I'm happy with it. So you show this to a client, they're going to be okay with it. So now we want to make this color, right? So we just turn that off and we go, okay, let's start a, this is a little, now I did change some things because this hood here is actually teal. I've changed those basic colors. So it's going to fluctuate a little bit. We can get pretty darn close. First thing you do is start with the background. So the background, first I need red. So what I do is I create a gradient layer, oh sorry, gradient map that has red in the center, uh, pinkish, orangish to the right, purple, and then black over here. And what that means is anything that's, gradient ramps work like this. Anything that's black will be this color. Anything that's neutral will be this color. Anything that's white will be this color. So when you turn it on, normally it's set like this. When you create something like this, it'll look like this. I set it to color to maintain the values, right? But see how the whites end up perfectly white? I duplicate that, and in this case I set it to vivid light, so it glows a little bit. So that means anything that's dark is black, the midtones are red, and the whiter values are this pinkish color. Now I want some orange glows in there, so then I create a duplicate gradient map. Set. Let me go ahead and just disable this. That looks like this. It's all fiery. And I'm going to set it to darken. Let's turn that on. So what that does, darken means it's only going to fill in the white areas. So then fills in anything that's white below it with this yellowish color. So this gives me this orange, fiery, reddish night feel to it. And then what I just do is blend between the two. I create a mask and just airbrush between the two. So I kind of airbrush some of these clouds out. Because above that goes the purple sky. Now the purple is a few different things here. It's a gradient map, set to hue, turn the saturation down. It's got an adjustment layer set to color dodge. And then I just airbrush this in. See right here? If I disable this mask, it's going to fill the whole layer. But you can just airbrush this part out. So now I got a nice blend from this red, orange to this purpley cloud sky color. I need that moon to be blue though. So then I go and create a moon layer. It's all teal blue. Set to multiply. Set to overlay so it's got those saturation. And then add a little bit of glow with the lighten. And then just airbrush it in. If I disable the mask, see it fills the whole thing. Here I just airbrush that in. And all of these, there's a slight hue saturation adjustment layer right here. That's just preference. All of these are then masked out. If I disable this, it would fill the whole piece, right? I mask it out so he's not touched by this coloration just yet. Then I start on Casey and I get his basic colors down. That means this is skin, the hoodie, and a lot of these I already have pre-made. See, the thing about gradient ramps are they're resolution independent. So once I make the reds and the skin tones and the blues and the purples, I have a nice folder and I just drag them in here and then just using my selection mask, select the areas I want and I get automatic color, right? That's why these say like roof because it was from roof colorations. And then we got the leather straps and the wood and the pouches, which comes from a tree or dirt map I did, so it's more saturated or brown. And I got this olive green, which is based on a grass that I have set up. And then I have this metal stuff set up that I already made. You can see here. And then I just duplicated that and did some adjustments for the gloves. So once I get this all set up, then what I want to do is tint him to the background. The way to do that is just duplicate this background set here. You just duplicate it. You can drag this, duplicate it, move it up top, fill it in with black, and then airbrush in the shit you want. So if we come right here, this is what I've done. So it's a lot of little trickery. There's no, put it this way, you have to learn to use, the trick to doing this is you're using the gradient ramps to give you color and then you're just airbrushing it in with masks. Helps to know what you're going for before you start. So first thing I do is just tint them to this color of the sky. Then I added new colors to his mask and boot because I thought those were lacking. Then I added some blues based off the rain. This is actually my rain from underneath in the black. I saved it here, so I was able to duplicate it and turn it blue and fill it in. And then I added some lighting based on the moon, kind of darken them up a little bit. And then again, duplicated the rain and set it to overlay and adjusted the hue, saturation layers. We can come in here to each one of these things. I don't know how much sense it's going to make other than we go to the moon. The moon is just the same moon gradient ramp set to pin light. And that's because I want these white areas kind of tinted the color of the moon. If you look right here and here, it's tinted to the color of the moon. And the effects, the rain effects underneath. So this is, yeah, I could turn the rain underneath on and off, and it's not raining anymore. but now it is. And then I just duplicate it up here, fill it with blue, and then duplicate it again, set it to overlay, and that just pops the whole thing out. And then I have a copy of the line arts thrown on top, and I've just airbrushed around the details I want. And then from here, I would come in and actually start to paint in additional lighting effects and underglows that need to be painted in manually and extra details and stuff. Um, Total time to set this up, knowing what I know now with everything already set up, takes about 30 minutes. This whole piece was colored in 30 minutes. Sure beats grabbing color and mixing it and trying to blend them all together with a brush, you know? I mean, so I could spend another hour tomorrow, maybe two, if I really take my sweet ass time and paint in a bunch of extra effects and details. But perfectly honest, if this were going to a publisher and I was under a deadline, it's printable now. You know, I didn't even need all that. But I'll be doing some extra stuff because, you know. But that's the power of gradient maps, you know. Um, it takes a little bit of thought uh, rather than grabbing and sampling colors and trying to blend them all together. The upside is that now I found that before this, you know, sometimes you have reference open and you're sampling colors all the time. With this, I don't have to do it. A lot of my colors are already fixed. I mean, I build enough gradient ramps. I know I have sunsets I like to use. I have stormy skies already worked out. I have red fiery city lights already worked out. I have green fiery city lights already worked out. I already know my basic flat colors. Red hoodies were made. I have several different kind of brown combinations. A couple of different olive greens, a couple of different metal types. And so if I make anything new, it's, you know, then I just save it into my gradient ramps folder. And then when I go to lay them all in, you know. And a great part about this too is if a publisher, you know, if I was working for, say, I work with IDW. Let's say this was for IDW, which it's not, but let's say it were, and they're like, oh, we want to change this hoodie blue. It's super easy to do that. You know, it's super easy, not hard. You know, um, if you were going to do more comic book style coloring for this guy, you can get the same effects using it doesn't matter if it's painted, blended colors or anything. You know, it's irrelevant. Uh, Gradient maps aren't going to give you your value lighting, you know? Like if I take these gradient ramps and I go to these basic colors right here, the basic flats, right? And let's see here, drag these in here. See, that does nothing, right? Because there's no uh, lighting underneath. You know, it's a flat color. You have to paint the whole thing and then work it out. Um, that all being said, like I said, there's still a lot of lighting and effects and stuff to do. I'd say an hour, maybe 2 hours. 4 if I'm really just taking my sweet ass time. But tomorrow I'll get it all done. Uh, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Leave them in the comments below. I'll answer them. I'm trying to show this step every time I do it. Make one little video explaining how it works, so you can kind of get, you know, people ask me a lot, how does that gradient ramp thing work? And that's how it works. And it's on the fly. Like check this out. If I go here to the black and white under the desaturation layer, and I click overlay, create an overlay layer, and start airbrushing in, you know, white, I'm gonna get, you know, and then black once, you know, I can get more color if that's what I so choose to do. pretty powerful coloring technique. Makes a lot of sense for especially painted stuff. You know, backgrounds colored in no time whatsoever. Be perfectly honest with you. Wish I learned how to do this years ago. But it's been a uh, steady learning curve since June. I started around June of last year, so I'm figuring it out. All right, good. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. See me at Twitter at sketchcraft.com. I will see you next time. Bye.